Here's something nobody talks about enough. Two people, same job title, same experience level. One lives in London, one lives in Lisbon. The person in London earns more, maybe 1,500 euros more per month. But at the end of every single month, the person in Lisbon has more money left in their account, more savings, more breathing room, more actual life. That's purchasing power. And in 2026, it might be the most important number you're not looking at when you research moving to Europe. Because moving abroad isn't just about finding the highest salary on a job posting. It's about finding the place where your salary, whatever it ends up being, goes the furthest. Where you can afford a real apartment without 3 roommates. Where groceries don't feel like a luxury decision. Where you can actually save money every month and still have a life worth living. So today, we're ranking 10 European countries, not by who pays the most, but by where your money genuinely stretches the furthest. We'll look at real average salaries, the actual cost of living, the job markets, and the honest challenges of each place. No sugarcoating, just the real numbers and the real picture. Let's start from number 10 and work our way up to the country that, frankly, surprises a lot of people when they see the math.
Number 10. Spain. Let's be honest about something straight away. Spain does not have the highest salaries in Europe, not even close, but it earns its place on this list for a very specific reason. The relationship between what you earn and what life actually costs here is one of the most forgiving in Western Europe. Spain has built an entire identity, in a way, around the idea that life should be enjoyed, not just survived. The weather helps enormously. 300 days of sunshine a year in much of the South makes a genuine difference to daily quality of life that doesn't show up in any salary spreadsheet, but absolutely shows up in how people feel. The average monthly income for a single person in Spain sits at around 1,700 euros. On paper, that's modest by Northern European standards, but monthly living costs, excluding rent, run approximately 700 to 800 euros. And rent for a one-bedroom apartment outside of central Madrid and Barcelona typically falls between 650 and 950. Run the numbers, and a professional in Valencia, Seville, or Bilbao earning that average salary can realistically save $300 to $600 a month without feeling like they're depriving themselves of anything. The job market here is real but specific. Tourism and hospitality remain massive employers, particularly along the coast. The construction and building sector consistently needs skilled workers. Technology and software development have grown significantly in Madrid and Barcelona, with a startup ecosystem that's increasingly taken seriously across Europe. The renewable energy sector, particularly solar, has expanded aggressively as Spain has invested heavily in it. Spain's public healthcare system is comprehensive and covers employed residents through Social Security contributions, meaning healthcare essentially stops being a major out-of-pocket.
Number 9. Italy. Italy sits at number 9 for a reason that will feel familiar if you watched our video on Spain. The country offers something money genuinely cannot buy in many other places, a way of life that feels worth living every single day. Italy is located in the heart of the Mediterranean and carries a cultural weight in art and music and food and history that very few countries on earth can match. That cultural richness has made it a magnet for immigrants and expats from all over the world for generations. The cost of living in Italy varies enormously depending on where you land. Milan and Rome are considerably more expensive than smaller cities and the countryside, and that gap matters a lot when you're planning your finances. But across the board, Italy offers a high-quality educational and healthcare system that consistently attracts immigrants who are thinking long-term, particularly those planning a future for their children. Because Italy is, first and foremost, one of the most visited countries on the planet, there's enormous and consistent demand for workers in hotels and restaurants, particularly in Rome's historic center and along the major tourist routes. Milan, meanwhile, operates almost like a different country economically,
It's Italy's fashion, design, and finance capital, with job opportunities that look much more like a major Northern European business hub than the rest of the country. The average monthly income for a single person in Italy is approximately €1,600, with monthly living costs excluding rent around €900. The math here is tighter than in Spain. Italy's cost of living, particularly in food and certain services, runs a bit higher relative to income. But outside the major cities, in places like Bologna, Turin, or smaller regional centers, that balance improves considerably. Italian
Number 8. The Netherlands. The Netherlands moves us into a different category entirely. This is where salaries start climbing significantly, and the purchasing power equation gets more interesting because of it. The Dutch economy is stable, strong, and strategically located at the heart of Europe, which facilitates trade and creates a genuinely diverse range of job opportunities. This isn't a country relying on one or two industries. It's broad-based and resilient. The average monthly income for a single person here is approximately €3,300, nearly double what we saw in Spain. Monthly living costs, excluding rent, run around $1,000. Even accounting for the country's notoriously tight housing market, the gap between income and expenses here remains genuinely favorable, particularly for skilled professionals. The country's healthcare and educational systems are excellent and consistently rank among the best in Europe, which is a significant part of why the Netherlands attracts so many students and skilled immigrants looking to build long-term careers. Job opportunities span information technology, clean energy, and sustainability, sectors the Dutch have invested in heavily, and healthcare. Amsterdam, the capital, dominates in financial services. Rotterdam, the coastal port city, is a powerhouse for logistics and international trade. It's home to the largest port in Europe, after all. And Eindhoven has carved out its own identity as the country's leading hub for creative industries, research, and development, anchored by companies like ASML. There's a genuine and important nuance here, though, for anyone serious about moving. The Dutch labor market expects you to bring real, in-demand skills to the table. This isn't a country where you arrive and figure it out. You need to know what you're offering before you land. And while the Dutch are famous for their exceptional English proficiency, probably the best in non-English speaking Europe, genuine social integration and the strongest career opportunities still favor those who make an effort to learn Dutch and actively participate in the culture. Average monthly income around $3,000.
Number 7. France. France brings something to this list that few other countries can match, an almost unmatched concentration of culture, history, and global influence, combined with an economy strong enough to genuinely back it up. France is, unsurprisingly, one of the most visited countries in the world. The Eiffel Tower, the Palace of Versailles, the Louvre, the geographic range from the snow-capped Alps to the sun-soaked French Riviera. But beyond the postcard image, France maintains a standard of living that's backed by a genuinely high-quality educational system and very strong health care, both of which continue to attract students and skilled immigrants from around the world. The average monthly income for a single person in France runs around €2,400, with monthly living costs, excluding rent, at approximately €1,000. That leaves a moderate but meaningful savings margin, particularly if you're not living in central Paris, where costs climb considerably above the national average. Job opportunities in France cluster heavily around medicine and healthcare, information technology, and a surprisingly robust scientific research sector. France invests significantly in R&D across multiple industries. Paris, as the capital and largest city, dominates financial services job opportunities, while Lyon and Marseille each carry their own economic identity, with strong opportunities in engineering and international trade, respectively. France has become a genuinely multicultural society through decades of continuous immigration, and the country actively welcomes those bringing skills the French labor market needs.
It's also worth noting that France remains one of Europe's most well-known educational destinations, but if you're coming for university studies specifically, proficiency in French is typically a requirement, not an option. The honest reality, the French language is non-negotiable here in a way it isn't in, say, Amsterdam. Professional environments, government processes, and daily social life all run predominantly in French. For those willing to commit to learning it, France offers a depth of culture and
Number 6. Norway. Norway earns the nickname the Jewel of Northern Europe, honestly. Dense forests, snow-capped mountains, and some of the most dramatic natural landscapes anywhere on the continent. But what puts Norway on this list isn't just the scenery, it's the strength of the system behind it. Norway is classified among the most prosperous nations on Earth, and that prosperity is structural, built on a high standard of living, free education at every level, and an excellent comprehensive healthcare system funded largely by the country's substantial oil and gas reserves. That same natural resource wealth creates a labor market with genuine breadth. Energy, technology, education, research, trade, and healthcare are all areas of consistent demand. Oslo, the capital, anchors most of the country's economic activity, while Bergen, the well-known coastal city, and Trondheim, a center for technology and research, each offer their own distinct opportunities. The average monthly income for a single person in Norway is approximately $3,200, with monthly cost of living, excluding rent, around $1,200, among the higher figures on this list, particularly in Oslo. But here's the thing about Norway. The high salaries and the genuinely excellent public services largely compensate for those elevated costs. When healthcare, education, and a substantial portion of your social safety net are essentially built into the system, your take-home income goes considerably further than the raw numbers might initially suggest. Norwegian society generally respects cultural diversity, particularly in larger cities, where immigrant communities have well-established support networks. In more rural areas, some newcomers report a degree of initial reserve from locals. This is a more close-knit, slower-to-open culture than some of the more
Number 5. Denmark. Denmark consistently ranks among the happiest countries in the world, and once you understand how the system here actually works, that statistic stops feeling abstract and starts feeling completely logical. Denmark is one of the most developed nations on Earth, defined by a high quality of life, genuine economic stability, and a social system built with real intention. The country's advanced democratic institutions, the prosperity of its citizens, modern infrastructure, a deeply embedded culture of work-life balance, excellent health care, and free education at every level. These aren't separate features. They're one connected system, and it shows in how people actually live. Denmark also carries a rich cultural heritage stretching back to the Viking Age, which gives the country a genuinely interesting historical and touristic dimension beyond the pure quality of life statistics. The country's strong economy generates consistent job opportunities across technology, engineering, healthcare, financial services, scientific research, and education. Copenhagen, the capital, is the main economic engine, while Odense and Aarhus, the latter known internationally for its prestigious universities, each contribute their own specialized strengths to the national economy. The average monthly income for a single person in Denmark sits at around €3,400, with monthly living costs, excluding rent, at approximately €1,100. That gap, over €2,300 of headroom before rent, is one of the more comfortable margins on this entire list, and it's worth remembering that Denmark's tax-funded social services significantly reduce many costs that would otherwise eat into that margin in less generous systems. Acceptance of immigrants in Denmark tends to follow a fairly consistent formula. How well you
Number 4. Britain. The United Kingdom holds a position on this list that's a little different from everywhere else we've covered. Its influence on the world isn't just economic, it's historical, cultural, and political in a way that very few countries can claim. Britain's reputation rests on an ancient and stable democratic system, prestigious universities like Oxford and Cambridge that draw students from every corner of the globe, and a set of historical and tourist landmarks, Buckingham Palace, Big Ben, London Bridge, that have become genuinely global cultural shorthand. All of this combines to make Britain a consistent global destination for tourism, study, and work. The British economy remains one of the strongest in the world, generating substantial job opportunities across information technology, financial services, construction, retail, hospitality, and logistics and delivery services, the last of which has expanded dramatically over the past several years. The average monthly income for a single person in Britain is approximately €2,900. But here's where the purchasing power story gets more complicated. Monthly living costs, excluding rent, run around €1,300, among the higher figures on this entire list. London, Manchester, and Birmingham all carry a notably elevated cost of living, particularly when it comes to rent, which significantly compresses the savings margin compared to countries earning similar or even slightly lower average incomes. What Britain does offer in return is genuinely excellent public health care through the NHS and a strong public education system, both available at no direct cost at the point of use for residents. Britain has also become one of the most diverse countries in Europe, home to millions of immigrants of different nationalities, with well-established communities from virtually every part of the world, which makes the social integration process notably smoother for many newcomers than in more linguistically or culturally homogenous countries. The British government also provides legal protection against discrimination and
Number 3. Germany. Germany takes the third spot on this list, and it does so by offering something genuinely rare in Europe: enormous economic strength combined with a cost of living that, city for city, remains comparatively reasonable. Germany is one of the largest and strongest economies in the world, with a leading global position in technology and industrial manufacturing. Its location at the literal heart of Europe, bordering 9 countries, makes it a vital center for both trade and culture, and that centrality has real practical benefits if you ever want to travel or do business across the continent. The country is known for the quality of its education system, advanced health care, and genuinely excellent infrastructure, layered on top of a rich cultural heritage and globally recognized landmarks like the Brandenburg Gate, Cologne Cathedral, and the Black Forest. Here's the part that matters most for purchasing power. Germany's cost of living, while not low, is considered reasonable compared to many other Western European countries, and crucially, it varies significantly by city. Berlin, the capital, is meaningfully cheaper than Munich in terms of both rent and daily expenses, which gives you real flexibility in how you structure your move. The average monthly income for a single person in Germany is approximately €2,900, with monthly living costs excluding rent around €1,000. That ratio, solid income against moderate costs, is exactly why Germany lands at number 3. Salaries here are genuinely suitable for a high standard of living, and the country backs that up with excellent public health care and education systems that significantly reduce out-of-pocket expenses elsewhere. Number 2. Sweden. Sweden takes the silver medal on this list, and it does so on the strength of one of the most genuinely well-balanced economic and social systems anywhere on the continent. Sweden is one of the most beautiful and internationally recognized countries in Northern Europe, known for stunning natural landscapes, dense forests, quiet lakes, dramatic mountainous regions in the north. Stockholm, the capital, functions as both an important cultural and commercial center, distinguished by a design philosophy that genuinely blends modern architecture with surrounding green nature in a way that feels intentional rather than accidental. Life in Sweden is relatively expensive, particularly in major cities like Stockholm and Gothenburg. There's no getting around that. But the overall standard of living and prosperity here is high,
underpinned by a social system that includes free education and excellent health care, both of which substantially reduce the real cost of living once you factor them into the equation. Sweden has positioned itself as a genuine center for technology and innovation, and this shows up directly in the job market. There's consistent and strong demand in the IT field. Beyond technology, there's significant demand for healthcare specialists, particularly doctors and nurses. And the various engineering fields, especially mechanical and electrical engineering, offer strong job prospects as well. It's worth noting up front, though, that a meaningful number of these roles require genuine proficiency in Swedish. The average monthly income for a single person in Sweden is approximately 2,700 euros, with monthly living costs excluding rent around 900 euros. That's a genuinely favorable ratio, and it's part of why Sweden ranks this high. The gap between income and core living expenses remains comfortable, even before you factor in the country's extensive social safety net. Sweden has a notably high proportion of immigrants relative to its population, which reflects the genuine diversity of Swedish society today. Despite some of the social and economic integration challenges that come with any country absorbing.
Number 1. Switzerland. And here we are, number 1. And if you've watched any of our other videos about salaries and purchasing power in Europe, this result will not surprise you, but the actual numbers might. Switzerland is a genuinely wonderful mountainous country sitting at the literal heart of Europe, famous for the Alps, crystal clear lakes, and quiet, postcard-perfect villages. It's considered one of the most prosperous nations on Earth, with a standard of living and a healthcare and educational system that consistently rank among the best anywhere. Let's address the obvious thing first. Life in Switzerland is expensive. Genuinely, seriously expensive. Housing, transportation, and food all carry a meaningfully higher price tag than almost anywhere else on this list. There's no spinning that. But here's why Switzerland still takes the top spot. The salaries here are not just high, they're rewarding enough to completely compensate for that elevated cost of living, and then leave a significant amount left over. Switzerland has built a global reputation for innovation in extremely specific, extremely lucrative fields, watchmaking and banking chief among them, which has made it one of the most unique and sought-after destinations for skilled immigration and work anywhere in the world. Job opportunities cluster heavily around technology, healthcare, and finance, with the country serving as a genuine global hub for international banking and pharmaceutical research. Switzerland is also known for its remarkable multilingual, multicultural identity. German, French, and Italian are all official languages, a direct reflection of the country's.
So there you have it. 10 European countries, ranked not by who pays the most on paper, but by where your money actually goes the furthest in real life. What's worth remembering as you think through all of this? The country with the highest salary isn't automatically the country where you'll save the most, build the most security, or live the best life. Spain and Italy prove that a modest income in the right place can leave you genuinely comfortable. Switzerland proves that when the salary is high enough, even the most expensive cost of living in Europe can't stop you from building real wealth. And everywhere in between, the real answer depends on what you value: climate, language, career field, social system, lifestyle, as much as it depends on the raw numbers. If you're seriously considering a move, do the real math for your specific situation. Look at actual job postings in your field. Look at actual rental prices in the specific neighborhood you're considering, not just the national average. That's the only way to know for certain whether a move genuinely makes sense for your life.
If this video helped you think through any of that, hit like and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow and lets us keep making content like this. And tell me in the comments, which of these 10 countries are you most seriously considering? I read every single one, and your answers genuinely shape what we cover next. See you in the next one. Peace.